Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. Shall we begin? Right. So, good morning, Sajju sir. Good morning, everyone. The business world is undergoing a neo-Schumpeterianism, and innovative products and services are being launched by companies on the one side, and on the other hand, we have concepts like life editing and minimalism is less tough, and more happiness theories are evolving. So today we are all here virtually joined together in order to discuss these two concepts in detail. So let me begin with the welcome speech. Al-Buzaidi to introduce the resource person. Turkiya ma'am, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our resource person for the day, Dr. Sajo Ibn Thomas. We, the marketing section at BSD UTAS Nizwa, appreciate Dr. Sajo for honoring our invitation. Dr. Sajo, Department Chair, Marketing City University, College Ajman, UAE. Dr. Saji holds a mechanical engineering degree from National Institution of Technology, Kozhikode, India, and an MBA degree from Faculty of Management Study, Delhi University. He received his PhD in Management Marketing from Cochin University of Science and Technology, India. He has accumulated 34 years, mashallah, of experience in industry and academic as well, in diverse area like production, project management, and marketing and advertising. Dr. Sajo is the reviewer for Journal of Marketing and Logistics of Emerald publication, and a PhD examiner for Bharatiyar University, a public university located in Coimbatore, India. He has many research papers and book chapters to his credit. Dr. Sajo is the author of the book Status Consumption, Honey Trap, Materialism, and Social Pressures as key contributors. Welcome, Doctor. And now I request Dr. Sajo to kindly take over the session.
Thank you for those nice words, Dr. Mohammed, Ms. Turkiya, and Ms. Nahid. On the offset, let me thank the management of UTAS, Dean Dr. Ahmad Al-Shari, and HOD Ms. Nahid for inviting me for this session. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Okay, I need to specially thank Mr. Radhakrishna Subramaniam, Senior Lecturer, and Mr. Ramesh Krishna for their special efforts actually in organizing and getting this event actually. Okay, so let's move to the topic because the time is limited. Can I put up the slides?
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this session. A good morning to all of you. Okay, the topic today is materialism and minimalism, the marketer's woes actually. While I take you through this topic, I'm going to talk a lot about the book which we had published actually along with my co-author, Dr. Sailesh. This is Status Consumption, a Honey Trap, and then we will come to materialism and minimalism, and we will look at this debate of where to go or where to go ahead actually. Okay, before I move on, I have a small news snippet. This came years back, but such news has become very common these days actually. I want you to read through this. In fact, I'll read it slowly with you. Yeah, this is a true story, but I've changed the name and the environment. Mariam, 24, came to Dubai 3 years ago with a job offer from a public relations firm. Hailing from an average middle-class family in a small town near Mumbai, India, she was overwhelmed by the AED 6,000 monthly salary offered. To prove that she belonged to the posh South Dubai, where she lived and worked, Mariam shopped for clothes, shoes, perfumes. Weekly jaunts at H&M, Mango and Zara outlets became a routine. Bata shoes were replaced by Nikes and Charles and Keith. Perfumes were a new interest, but only Davidoff's, Calvin Klein's and Dior matched with the new environment. Her current collection set her back monthly by AED 2,500. She began finding it difficult to set aside the AED 2,000 she usually sent home. Deliverance came in the form of personal loans and credit cards. With a steady salary and banks, she had no hassles in getting credit cards issued from banks, and that would fund a laptop for herself, a desktop computer, and a new TV for her family back in India. She had no clue what she was getting into, and soon her personal debt was more than AED 200,000. Mariam tried transferring the balance from one card to another, but soon it became evident that she will not be able to pay the minimum dues. To avoid the increasing menace from the recovery agents, she resigned her job and slipped out of Dubai. This was actually from a true story of a girl who got a job in Mumbai and worked there, and it was back in 2008 actually. Such stories have become commonplace actually. We read these kind of stories regularly in news. And in fact, in a lot of cases, it moves to the other extreme where they get into psychological issues and even cases of suicide, etc. And the reason to ponder over this is why educated people, professionals, are getting into this kind of behavior and getting into debt traps actually. This actually led to an interest in the research area of mine. And this actually prompted me to look deeper into it. Okay, so we are looking at consumption for the sake of consumption. Okay, and typically when we talk about consumption, we obviously have to look at US, which is the largest consumer of status products or luxury products in the world actually. Look, way back in 80s, when Faber and Dogen conducted a survey, they asked this question: my closets are filled with still unopened items. Okay, and nearly 44% of the participants who took part in the consumer survey conducted in the US responded positively to the above question. This means we are buying a lot of things, but never using it. And we throw it out or give it to thrift stores actually. Look at this, all thrift stores, these are the second-hand stores. I've seen brand new clothes with original price tag still hanging from the sleeve. Okay, so probing further and looking at America, we found that more than 1 in 20 Americans shopping is something darker. 5.8% of American population suffer from disorders related to their shopping habits. They become addicts to shopping actually. In many cases, such compulsive shopping behavior has led to job losses, broken relationships, and financial ruin. Actually, all these are from well authenticated journal articles actually. Okay, so we are actually looking at a world where excessive shopping habits, or psychologists call it as shopaholicism, they see it as a disorder, has created deep-rooted problems for the individual. It's not the lack of willpower that makes the truly addicted shopper unable to get out of his shopping urge. Okay, they're trying, but it's something like an addiction actually. They are not able to control their impulses, desires, and behavior. So it's typically an addiction actually. And Timothy Fong has reported a lot about this actually. He works for University of California. He's a psychologist, actually, a clinical psychologist who has been treating people with shopaholism kind of disorders. Moving on, so what are the dangers of such excessive consumption habits? Yeah, many people, shopping has moved beyond something that caters to their needs. It has become a hobby, an activity they engage to satisfy their hedonistic or pleasure-seeking goals, actually. Yeah, this is fine in boom times. So when your job is fine, you are getting your bonuses and salary hikes, etc. It's a pricey hobby. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But you also got to remember there are economic downturns. Okay, during these times, this can lead to extreme financial pressure. Okay, you might already have mortgages and you can get into insecurity caused by poor job market situations where these kind of addictive shopping can have negative consequences. Okay, I mean, well known for it. So when we look at this, they are supposed to live dangerously when you look at their shopping or consumption habits, actually. The US household debt of annual disposable income was 127% at the end of 2007. It was 77% in 1990. This means they're spending much beyond their disposable income. So obviously they have to take debt. And look at this, they come to a state where their debt is so high that it is becoming difficult for them to repay and get out of it. That's exactly what is showed, actually. This means that American households have spent much more than their disposable income every year starting from 1999. Okay, I hope you understand what is disposable income. I'm asking the students, actually. Yeah, this is the money that you really have to spend after your basic necessities and also other things like tax deductions or other deductions of money owing to banks, etc. Okay, so most households in America had 12 to 13 credit cards, with 40% of them having revolving credit outstanding. Yeah, I hope you understand what is revolving credit, actually. Revolving credit is, if you own a credit card, when the statement comes with the monthly payment, they say you can pay the full amount or you can pay 10% or 20% of it. The balance can be kept as a revolving credit. Now, many times we won't look into the fine print of the terms and conditions behind. This is one of the costliest debts, actually. Many banks charge 2.5% per month for revolving credit. That means you are ending up with 30% per annum interest, actually, which, if it's a slightly large sum, with the accumulated interest, you are going to get into trouble, actually. And many people actually add up to the revolving credit. So look at this, in 2004, US credit card revolving debt stood at $735.3 billion, a 31% quantum increase. So by the time we have moved into this century, we have been seeing people getting into trouble, but they are not moving away from their shopping or consumption habits. The problem with this is, look at this, personal bankruptcy filings in US doubled between 1994 and 2002 to more than 1.5 million. That means more and more people are getting into debt traps and they're filing for bankruptcy. Americans over the age of 55 are filing bankruptcy in greater numbers at a rate faster than the population growth. Yeah, this is the dangerous side of living on debt and continuing to consume very heavily. Yeah, like me and my colleague, while authoring the book, we looked at other countries, actually, especially the Asian part. And we looked at India because India and China are the largest populations, both having 1.3 billion population, actually. Okay, so when we looked at India, in 1998, just 4% of the population was earning approximately US dollar 1,250 per month. That's a substantially good amount to make a living in India. But by 2008, this has grown to 14.8%. This late 90s to 2008 saw an explosive increase in the population. This has primarily happened because this was the time period that India changed to be the service hub for the world actually. China is the manufacturing hub for the world, while India is the back office for the world actually. If you look at software and auditing companies, other consulting companies, etc., they have a large base of their offices in India. For example, IBM has largest number of employees in India. IBM has more employees in India than US. Okay, and this has led to higher salaries, etc. Look at this. There was just 1.5% of the population earning more than US dollar 2,450 per month in 1998. And this grew almost three times actually to 5.3% by 2008. These are generally the upper salaried bracket there actually. So we were looking at the consumption pattern in India with respect to West and US. Look at this. Along with increase in the income, we also saw higher expenditure driven by higher consumption levels. So when the income levels is growing, it's not like you are comfortable, your expenditure is also growing. And look at the next statement. Indians have been taking more loans, including personal loans, which are considered to be high cost debt instrument. Though the salary grew, the expenditure is growing faster. And you are outrunning the increase in your income, and you're not creating wealth, but instead you're building debt actually. Okay. Yeah, you might wonder why a marketing person is talking about this. Yeah, this is highly relevant for marketing actually. Because one is we have to be responsible in our marketing. We have to look at social marketing, and also we have to look after the well-being of our consumers actually. Okay, let's move on. We will delve on this as we move on. Yeah, look at this. The decade 1998 to 2008, that was a period which we took for our study actually. Many surveys showed these kind of results. Look at this. Home loans increased from 9.9% to 21.6%. Home loan increase is supposed to be good because you are having an asset in your hand actually. And in a country like India, the real estate prices have been going up. Car loans increased from 7.1% to 16.6%. Again, two-wheeler, this is a country with large base of two-wheelers, that increased from 8.8% to 11%. But the issue is here actually, personal loans moved from just 8.5% to 29.2%. This is a high cost debt. And this just reflects pure expenditure, pure consumption. There's no asset building, no wealth creation happening actually. Okay, and look at this. Ownership of credit cards and debit cards moved from 32 million in 2003 to 44 million in 2005. And when we looked at the 2019 figures, the credit cards alone was 50.3 million. So there is still some restriction to 50 credit cards, but debit cards, because of the proliferation of ATMs, it has moved to 890 million. But debit cards, it's still fine because you can use only what is the money lying in your account actually. But increase in credit card is something which we have to look at seriously. Because when I look back in 80s to early 90s, getting a credit card was extremely difficult in India. But that has changed, and world over we are seeing the prime lending to subprime lending happening actually. That means banks have started offering credit cards or loans to people without looking at their capabilities to repay. That is not a right thing actually. Because you got to tell the people the adverse side of getting or taking loans and getting into spending actually. Otherwise, you're going to lose those customers eventually. Look at this, India increasing credit outstanding. By 2018, the total outstanding on personal loans was US dollar 357 million, which was looking at a compounded annual growth rate of 45.2%, which is very, very high. The credit card outstanding is pegged at 15,700 million. This includes the monthly outstanding also. But the issue is the quality of retail loans, personal loans, credit card receivables, etc. are degenerating. There are more and more delinquencies. There are more and more people finding it difficult to repay, etc. This is an issue actually. Indirectly, we are seeing customers getting into problem and we're going to lose them actually. So it's not a healthy way of building up what you term as customer relationship marketing, etc. We need them for long term rather than losing them so fast actually. Yeah, so the whole question now, because when we look at America consuming, that's the wealthiest country. The population is only about 330 million. It was fine. And maybe even the rest of the rich world, it was nothing much actually, when you look at the population. But China and now India getting into this this kind of consumption is a big issue. For example, if you look at 50% of Americans buying luxury items, etc., it still is not much actually. But if you look at India and China together, it's about 2.6 billion population, and even 20% of population getting into such high consumption rates, it's going to have a huge effect, a catastrophic effect on the globe. Okay, so look at this. The US market accounted for 1/3 of consumption of the $233 billion worldwide luxury market. The issue is the rich upper class, which comprise just 20% of the global population, is accounting for 80% of private consumption. This is the typical 80-20 rule actually. But we are seeing a large part of the global population kept out actually. Look, the richest 20% owns 87% of the cars, 74% of the telephone connections. The rich group consumes 84% of all paper produced, 45% of all meat and fish consumed, and 58% of the total energy. So very little is left for the rest of the population actually, for the poorer third world countries. Again, another issue of such high consumption habits is sustainability. Okay. Many authors have come out openly against this. Look at this. Humans, particularly in the Western Hemisphere, are consuming resources at a pace that far outweighs Earth's ability to renew these resources and absorb the resultant waste. We have been seeing result of this in the recent past. Okay, water, forests, and clean air are all being used. We have water, but it's polluted. Drinking water is one of the biggest issues the world is facing. And all the corporates, starting with Nestle, Unilever, everybody is rushing into it, selling water actually. Okay, how many of the world's population can afford such water? Okay, so we are polluting our environment and our resources much faster than they are being replaced. So these are the issues which we are facing because of this high habituated consumption habits actually. Okay, so moving on. Yeah, before that, let me just define what is status consumption. Obviously, you would have got the word and you would have got it from the word status, and looking at the kind of brands that is shown on the screen, you will get it actually. So this is about luxury consumption. So it's the motivational process by which individuals strive to improve their social standing through the conspicuous consumption of products that confer and symbolize status for the individual among the others. So this is about buying these kind of luxury items with the idea of conspicuously consuming them. Conspicuously consuming, obviously they have to be products which are used in public. and they are being used in public to show that you have them and you want others to look upon you saying, oh, he owns that car, or she is wearing that particular coat from Burberry. She has to be successful, or she has to be rich. Okay, so you're looking at that kind of status conferring to be the motive behind such consumption actually. So status consumption is about buying products so that others look upon you actually. It's not because of anything which is a trait or which is a part of your personality or part of your achievements, but just because of ownership of products actually. Okay, so the question now arising is, what causes such excessive consumption? If you look into literature, most of them lead you to materialism actually. Excessive consumption or high consumption habits happen in people because of materialism. Okay, so materialism reflects the importance a consumer attaches to worldly possessions and acquisitions and acquiring of such worldly possessions. So you can easily link materialism with status consumption actually. People are trying to get more and more products so that the world looks at them as successful people, or they themselves think that they will be happy by having more and more of these worldly possessions actually. Okay, look at what Richard Belk said actually. The selfish desire to have more than what others have drives individual into such consumption habits. You want more of these kind of products than what others have. Okay, so this is an inherent characteristic of materialistic individuals. So indirectly it is saying that people with high materialism will tend to gather more or acquire more goods, luxury, status goods, etc. At the highest level of materialism, possessions assume a central place in person's life. Your life is all about getting these kind of physical goods or possessions, and that becomes, or acquiring such becomes your entire goal actually. But in reality, what will happen is these possessions will become the greatest source of dissatisfaction. Most people don't realize that actually. They get into this endless trap of trying to acquire more and more actually. Look at this. A number of studies showed that individuals with materialistic values would have experienced family circumstances at their young age which made them not feel secure actually. So typically the earlier studies in materialism showed that people from backgrounds or early childhood where their needs were not fully met, or they were deprived of wealth, possessions, etc., or what they wanted, they are the ones who become materialistic actually. People who have not had their needs well met in the past will come to think that wealth and possessions will bring in a permanent solution from all their deprivations. Okay, so the initial studies in this direction believed or made people believe that it is a lower life satisfaction or lower self-esteem which would have built up from your child to adult age, that would have caused materialism in people actually. Okay, so generally materialistic people were considered to have lower self-esteem and lower life satisfaction. So why does insecurity and low self-esteem lead to a materialistic orientation? That's an obvious question that will come out actually. Okay, so looking at this, material goods, especially stated goods, are used by individuals to compensate for their doubts about their competence or self-worth. When we have doubts about our own self-esteem or our own self-worth, That is when people try to cover it up by buying these products actually. Okay, it's very obvious actually. If you look at adolescent boys, they use these kind of products to prop up their sagging masculine self-concepts actually, because adolescence is that period where you have an issue, because that's a transition from the child to the adult actually, and that is the time when generally individuals go through a sagging or low self-worth time actually. So these are indications that make people believe it, and there are a lot of exercises, research done which related self-esteem to materialism. So just connecting all those studies, many people believed in those times that it is childhood related issues. So those issues are either you have very authoritarian or too strict parenting, or it can be cases of broken homes or non-intact family, that is divorce, etc., single parent trying to bring up the child, or extreme poverty or poor conditions, where a lot of your needs were not met. And another can be unmet safety or security. These led to low self-esteem and ultimately making them materialistic actually. Yeah, but when we started our research, especially in the Asian region, India, etc., we found out that adults from perfect homes, looking at their earlier background, where the needs have been well met, are showing materialistic tendencies in today's world. So this is actually something different from what we have seen earlier. People, initial thinking was it's basically because they were deprived in their childhood, the needs were not fully met, so they have the craving for these kind of physical goods, and that kept on increasing, and that's how materialism got created in people actually. But if you look at the current situation, you find a lot of people from good homes where the needs have been well met, but still pursuing these materialistic things and ending up in these kind of difficulties. So what exactly is the reason? Is it just self-esteem or something beyond that actually? This surge, or there will similar research happening elsewhere also, where they found that materialism can be created by other factors. They are actually the socialization factors, or we call them as social pressure factors. Okay, we put 4 of them. 3 of them are rightly related to the society around you. The first is peer and reference group pressure. Most of the people in marketing know what is reference group pressure, isn't it? Yeah, and we all face this actually. When we work in an environment, or when you study as a student in a college, we do a lot of adaptation to be with the majority or how the others around us behave actually. This is what we term as peer pressure. Okay, research studies show peer pressure on the naive subject to conform to groups' norms. We all change when we get into a new environment, when we get a new job or you move to a new place. We sort of settle down, accommodate ourselves, and we look around what they do and try to adapt a lot of those things. This is what is peer pressure. Okay, people accept the information provided by these groups when you're looking at purchasing of products, or when you're looking at what style or design that you should have, etc. When we have difficulty in evaluating these things. So these are proven things. So peer pressure is one of those factors which bring in consumption related pressures on us. Okay, we are made to change and take on the views or opinions of other people, or allow us to be influenced by them. Okay, a study of in-store shopping behavior has indicated that when in a group, more changes were observed in shopping plans as compared to the shopping by a single shopper. That is, when we go and shop by ourselves, we strictly follow to a list already made actually, or what we have formulated in our mind. But many a time when we go with a group, which happens actually, and this happens generally with your neighborhood groups, your colleagues groups, etc. Okay. There is a lot of deviation from the initially observed plans. Okay, people end up buying more and many unplanned items when they shop in groups. So this is a clear indication that the peer pressure is working on us actually. Now, the second important factor that comes in socialization or social pressure is addiction to TV. Okay, the younger crowds might say like we watch lesser TV, but you're equally hooked to your laptops on various channels, movies, etc. Okay, so either way, this has its effect actually. Look at this. Television channels or movies across the world portray rich and affluent lifestyles. Okay, and they are more of fantasies, and they are taking us into a world of desires actually. So when we get into too much watching of these kind of soap serials, movies, etc., they're not real. So we are also getting carried away into a world of fantasy, and we get into building desires that unless we live like that, the life is not fulfilled. This is what we meant by saying internalization of such values projected through television. Too much of television watching, etc., will make us internalize those values. And this is happening across the world actually. Earlier, we used to spend a lot of time outside. Now we are all stuck inside. We're glued to the TV or movies on laptops, etc. And all of them lead to an unreal world. And many times this gets us into what we call as social comparisons. Okay, so in turn, it develops them a higher penchant for acquiring more and more material possessions. Look at this. In turn, these are creating a feeling of lack of esteem or lack of self-worth or a deep gap in you. I'm not okay. Look at that. Look at the way these people live. We should be living like that. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So that kind of feelings coming into you is the dangerous part actually. Mr. Ramesh, am I going too fast? Is it okay with everybody? Hello?
So you are muted.
Yeah, fine, sir. It's fine. No issue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think we can go in the same pace, sir.
Yeah, fine. Okay. Yeah. If anybody wants to ask any doubts in between or clarifications, they can do that also.
There's a chat, sir. Let me check. There's a question.
Yes.
Let me. Yeah. Ibrahim Ryan Salim sir has said that social media platforms have added to the rate of consumerism.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm bringing in this social pressure factors actually, because earlier notion was it was related to childhood upbringing, etc. But now you find people from good backgrounds who have done extremely well in their studies with professional degrees, etc., falling into this trap actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let me move on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If any clarifications required on what I'm saying, I can address it right away.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. So we saw that many times TV watching, etc., gets people into social comparison. Even otherwise, social comparisons is a very natural thing in us actually. This was a theory put up by Festinger in 1954. Okay, it revolves around individuals' need for self-evaluation. We need self-evaluation. We always compare with somebody actually. Okay, and we want to find that we are okay. Okay, so this need to evaluate their opinions and abilities with stable sources of self-reference. That is what social comparisons. Social comparisons actually can be both in upward and downward directions. Downward is definitely very good because it will help to build compassion, empathy, etc. actually, because you're looking at people who are below you. But upward comparison, that's what most people get into, is a dangerous thing. Because when you get into upward comparisons, you are comparing yourself with dissimilar and distant reference. For example, in reference group, we talk about something called aspirational group. Am I right? Aspirational group is basically social comparisons. Okay, you start comparing yourself, or you start self-evaluation with rich celebrities, actors, achievers, models. There you are going to get into trouble actually. Individuals who engage in social comparisons with remote reference celebrities are setting up unrealistic standard of living. Celebrity lifestyles, dressing and makeups get imitated by these followers. Okay, this leads to the development of a gap, a larger than normal gap between our actual condition and those ideal conditions. It is basically this gap that we try to fill through physical goods. Okay, so what we are seeing is we are seeing of creation of lack of self-esteem or self-worth in people who are perfectly okay otherwise because of these social pressure factors actually. Okay, and ultimately they are moving into this materialism and consumption spree. Yeah, now the fourth factor, the three are actually social, directly social factors. The fourth factor which I'm bringing is availability of debt. This is the biggest problem, as we have mentioned earlier also, that we are facing at current actually. It is adding fuel to fire. Consumer finance world over has assumed connotations of subprime lending. Lenders should be very careful when they give money. Earlier, the tendency, the obvious way lending used to happen was that way actually. You used to do a lot of credit assessments and you only gave loans to people who have the capability to repay. But now you are giving it to people based on their current salaries and nothing else actually. Like if you look at earlier loans, there was always a collateral liquid actually. These days, a lot of loans are being given without collateral. So that means if there's a delinquency, if there is a default, these banks and financial institutions are going to use other ways, or what you can term as using goons, etc., to retrieve those money actually. And obviously, they're making profits, and that's why they're continuing to do subprime lending even with a lot of defaults. So let's look at this effect of credit cards and other credit mechanisms. Okay. Studies which compare transactions of consumers using credit card with those making payments by cash in identical purchasing situations, you can see that people with credit cards spend more or are willing to spend more than paying through cash. There are a lot of research studies, experiments, etc. that has come. You have one group and a control group. So the main group is given credit card and ask them to go and shop. The other group is given a specific amount of money and ask them to spend. And when you compare between both these groups, you will find that people who have purchased using cash always had some money with them. Those who were given credit cards and asked to spend, they were also told about their spending limits, but you will find that a number of them have crossed the spending limits, and many of them may not be knowing exactly how much they have spent. This is true with us also. Like if you have spent cash and bought something, you will tell exactly to the penny, like what is the cost of that product. But if you have paid using credit card and you are asked to tell what is the cost, you will say approximately it's so much actually. So basically what it happens is it takes off that impulsiveness to spend actually. Yeah, an experiment where subjects were bid for tickets of a sporting event showed that those who used credit cards had bid for higher amounts compared to those who opted for cash payment option. This is another very, very clear indication. There's another experiment where they did actually, where the tickets were auctioned And people who opted or who quoted higher amounts were using credit cards actually. Those with cash options showed lesser quotations. So consumers mentally budget their available funds for a number of items for their, yeah, we all do that actually. Many people do it actually on the paper, or others do some mental budgeting actually, and we always have our calculation actually. But what these researchers have found is many times when you are spending with credit card, this effect of available income or what is budgeted is lesser actually. Look at this. The purchase behavior at any instant will be guided by the money available, or it's called as the available income effect. But when there is a separation between payment and consumption, the relevance of the available income effect diminishes. Look at when you use a credit card. You're actually getting a credit period of 30 days to maximum of 45, 50 days actually. So there is a separation between the time of purchase and payment. So what they say is when such a separation happens, you become what you call as you become more prone to spend actually, because you are not there's no effect of pulling you behind in terms of spending actually, or your aversiveness to spend decreases. This separation between consumption and payment do not happen in the case of credit cards or EMI loans because the money is going out later, but it's going to happen in another 30, 45 days. Nobody thinks like that. Okay, and this leads to weaker aversive feelings against the payment. So these are issues which makes people spend more, and that is why we consider this as adding fuel to the fire actually. Already there is that consumption urge in you, and when you are given these kind of debt instruments, credit cards, etc., asked to spend whatever amount you want with revolving credit, etc., people get into those traps actually. So this is what we call as status consumption, a honey trap actually, because many times we get into the spending because of social pressures and other things, and thinking that these worldly possessions will bring us freedom, like the way most materialists think actually. So look at this. Research shows that advertising and marketing communications create superordinate goals related to the needs for status in the society. Yeah, these are created by advertisements because most advertisements, there's a certain amount of fantasizing that happens. Consumers do get affected by external environmental factors. That's what we saw actually: television watching, peer pressure, upward comparisons, etc. So many such goals are formed and pursued non-consciously by the consumer. This is what happens actually. Even educated professionals, etc., falling into the trap because many of these are formed in us unconsciously. Okay, purchase of luxury or prestige products are highly affected by non-conscious goals. We are falling for it actually, unrealizing the implications. Exposure to associations either of thrift or prestige-oriented goals in the minds of people can control such actions. But most of us, especially when we are open to the world with large number of advertisements, marketing communications, we are actually getting oriented to prestige or status oriented goals. If we had our parents with us or our grandparents with us, they would have brought in the thrift concept in us actually, because they have gone through a lot more of experience in life. They will say, slow down, think twice before you spend, etc. And that would have changed the situation. And we are finding more of nuclear families, individuals all alone and with absolute freedom to spend whatever they have in hand, etc. actually. Yeah, so basically when we look at these kind of financial behavior or financially responsible behavior, we find that people with external LOC is locus of control, have lesser financial knowledge, and they are less likely to behave in a responsible fashion. So basically, when we look at these people getting into materialistic, high consumption behavior, they are people with a locus of control externally. That means these are not controlled by them. As I said, like it's basically unconscious goals being formed in you. The pressure from the society around you is leading you to many things, and you are not consciously taking your decisions. And only much later, after having fallen into the trap, you realize, oh, it was not worth it. Okay, so most people with materialism have an external LOC. Okay, so moving on, let's now move on to materialism versus minimalism. Actually, we have been looking at materialism, and materialism is typically associated with high consumption practices. Okay, so when we look at minimalism and materialism, these are diametrically opposite ends of a spectrum. Okay, and I would rather say the present capitalistic oriented economies or thinking is highly materialistic actually, or in the recent the beginning of this 2000 till last year, we have been seeing more and more of materialistic values building up in society than the other. Okay, Marsha Richins and Scott Dawson are two people who have done extremely lot of work in marketing related materialism activities. They come out with the scale for measuring materialism, which is used very highly. So according to them, materialism can be put under three themes actually. One is acquisition centrality. Okay, so when you talk about acquisition centrality, people start to consider material possessions and their acquisition as central to their lives. So that is, people who are materialistic start to think that the whole life is about acquiring new things. They're continuously getting newer and better things, and the business is creating such products also. Then the second premise is acquisition as the pursuit of happiness. They believe that acquiring more and more products is essential for their well-being, life satisfaction, and happiness. So that means more possessions, they think it's going to bring them happiness. And then the fourth, possession defined success. They start to think that the more the possessions they have, the more successful they are, or the world will see them as more successful. The bigger the car I have, if I have a Bentley, why not a Rolls Royce? So if you have a Rolls Royce, you are assuming that people will think you are successful, you will be happy, etc. Now, the dark side of it, most materialistic people tend to get eventually discontented with their lives because they're caught up in an unending cycle of consumption, and at the end of it, or towards the fag end of your life, they will start thinking, what have I achieved actually? Why did I do all this? It just made me unhappy actually. Look at this. The pleasure gained through acquisition will soon start to fade and get replaced by the desire for more. You got a new car, you're very happy for a few months or a year. Then you start seeing newer models or even more costlier models. And then you aspire for that. And you start working, making money, finding money to get that. And once you get that, you're taking loans, etc. to get that. So you start working harder to repay. So look at this, you are getting in an unending trap, unending cycle. And you are left with very little time for other things, for your family, even for other pursuits which you wanted actually. Okay, so look at this, you are eventually getting into an endless consumption trap. Happiness, contentment will always evade them actually. Many people don't realize this because Once you're in the trap, you're just struggling to get out of it actually. Yeah, let's look at minimalism now. Yeah, minimalism is actually arose in 1950s, primarily from art actually, music, literature, design. It was all about simplicity. It was characterized by extreme spareness and simplicity actually. Like don't go for very complex, crude, too many things. Make it simple. Okay, so that's the original idea behind it. And these days, the minimalist approach has become very, very popular. People place value on meaningful experiences than possessions. Joshua Becker is a very famous writer in this area actually. So a practical focus on what we really value rather than on consuming and acquiring goods that we do not use or need. So get out of the consumption trap. It's not like saying don't buy anything, but buy those things you value, which you will use, rather than buying a lot of things which you don't use and which you don't really require actually. So minimalism is about finding more gratitude and joy, more calm, more quality time with family and friends. But the issue is, that's where the debate starts actually, the marketer's woes. How is it going to affect us if people move away from materialistic premises to minimalistic premises? So let's look at the materialistic premises or the typical premises which the world holds now actually. High consumption economic system perpetuates the belief people should continue to consume disregarding the real needs so that the wheels of economy keeps moving. Yeah, this is the kind of thinking which we keep hearing actually. Factories must run full. The GDP, if so, the GDP of countries will continue to grow. There'll be more products produced, so the people have to consume that. So more sales turnover, hence more job opportunities. So high consumption, but also high consumption culture means, yeah, more wasteful consumption. We have seen that all through the presentation actually. Less sustainability, more people getting into psychological disorders, less happiness, etc., etc. But minimalism, if when we look at it, it promotes living with less. So it's about the concept of decluttering your home by Joshua Becker, etc. It's buying new possessions carefully. Always ask the question, will it add value to me? I already have a car, do I need one more? Is it time to change it? It's giving me full service. So all this can be controlled if you have the locus of control within you, not outside, not others controlling it actually. And obviously, this will lead to less wasteful consumption. It will be a more peaceful world, better sustainability. Okay, so a lot of issues which we face currently can be brought down if we move away. I'm not saying fully away from materialism spectrum to the opposite end, but a little away or more towards minimalism actually. Yeah, Joshua Fields and Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus, two other very famous writers in the area of minimalism, they addresses some of the common apprehensions which we saw earlier actually. If everyone became a minimalist, then we would all be doomed. This is what the current feeling is. The factories will have to be closed down, the jobs will be lost, etc. The financial system as it stands today will collapse and no longer would have the wealth necessary to purchase all these products. Yeah, this is where they say we are not looking at a complete transition from materialistic orientation to minimalism actually. Consumption is not the problem. Consumerism is the problem. Consumerism is another word for what you call as high consumption or excessive consumption actually, or consumption without looking at real need or acquiring things without looking at the utility that you're going to derive out of it. Okay, so consumerism is compulsive consumption. So using consumerism to stimulate, this is a very interesting wording they have given actually in the book. To stimulate economy is like fixing a cracked mirror with a hammer. It only worsens the problem actually. We are doubling up the problem. We are getting into more and more trouble. We are living in an unhappy world. Is that what we want? I've recently read somewhere that I think it's an output of a survey which said a lot of people who made it big in their life in the corporate world, at the end of it, they started saying, was it all worth it? There was so much of hard work. I amassed so much of wealth. I have everything in life, but I've missed out on a lot of things which I can never get back actually. Because the time is gone. Time flies. Time doesn't wait for you. Okay, so many of them are questioning, was it really worth all that effort? Okay, so a lot of us are running after possessions actually. Minimalists invest in experience over possessions. Okay, travel, concerts, vacations, community theater, all with your family, spend time with your children, etc. We can all spend money without acquiring new material things. So if you're looking at spending can still continue, but in a slower, well-contained fashion actually. Minimalists support local businesses. So look at the earlier days actually. So maybe when you read it together, if you are moving towards minimalism, the country that is going to get really affected would be China. Because a large amount of the mass production that is happening will have to be contained. Okay, and what minimalist philosophers say is it will improve our economy's long-term health by consumption of locally made products and supporting local business. And I was thinking, and I heard Dr. Mohammed that during his introduction saying the same thing actually. Aren't we going through a COVID-induced minimalism now? Okay, so I'll stop here because this is a debate and I don't have a solution for you. Okay. So the debate should continue actually. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Ramesh, are you there? I think your mic is mute.
Yeah, sir. Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I think I went a bit fast or?
No, it's perfectly on time, sir. Thank you very much. Okay. Sir, shall we go with the questions now?
Yeah, okay. Whatever I can answer, I will.
Yeah, I request now the participants to unmute their microphones and they can ask questions if any.
Sir, can I?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Please, Vishnu sir, please go ahead.
Sir, yeah. Sir, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
You said just now that China will be more affected if you go towards the minimalism. My point is China is producing products efficiently. That is, they are minimizing the cost and they are producing. So when it comes in the global world, it is coming at the lesser rate when compared to the other domestic products that, as you said, it helps in the local markets, local business. So how can we justify this?
Yeah, the question which I have, the way in which I was arguing was, when we move away from the materialistic orientation to a minimalistic orientation, we will need lesser amount of products actually. The consumption of products is going to come down. Okay, so we don't need such large scale production happening. Okay, so when you don't get into that kind of high consumption, or when we are scaling down on our consumption, we will have to generate opportunities around us rather than depending on outside. I agree to the fact that China produces at a lower cost, but then the cost part becomes less important actually, because we are not going to spend that much actually. We are going to control our spending and we are going to buy only things which we really need. So a lot of products are being pushed on us now. So that kind of a change will come and people won't mind buying local things because it helps generating opportunity, job opportunities, etc. locally. I fully agree to your concept of getting low price goods from China, etc.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any other questions?
I have something to contribute to what Dr. Shaju was discussing. Going through the presentation that he was giving us about, I was surprised at the fact that 20% of the world's elite class consume 45% of the papers totally produced in the world. So if that is going to be true, as per Dr. Shaju's words, I think we are environmentally degrading this world to an extent that is incomprehensible to us, because minimalism would that naturally cut down on the consumption. It could be it budget conscious minimalism or minimalism for the sake of being a minimalist. So both would contribute to lesser consumption and lesser production and lesser deterioration in environmental issues. So I think all these could only benefit. But of course, what Dr. Shaju said, I was also on a lighter note taking up the sentence where if all of them are going to turn out to be minimalist, we all will be doomed, is something that caught my attention, where the capitalist nations would have plenty of issues dealing with the financial system itself. So this is what I would like to contribute. Thank you, Dr. Shaju.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's basically like we are not looking at and moving to the other extreme actually, but a slow, gradual move away from a highly materialistic, high consumption oriented society to a more minimalist, where we have more time on us, where we spend time with our families and pursuing other hobbies, etc. That would be a beneficial thing actually. Like we're looking at a more happy society, creation of a more happy society.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, please. Please, Albert, sir, please.
Dr. Saju, very interesting insights. Actually, what caught my attention was also the same with what Radha sir has just mentioned, that we will all be doomed if we lose consumerism. But the thing, sir, is this: as an educator, where do you think we should draw the line, especially us marketing educators? Where should we draw the line? You know, as teachers of marketing, we're also guilty of this. We're pushing students to to engage in this heavily consumer-oriented world. And right now, we are asking them to, hey, you might as well slow down a bit. So where do you draw the line now? What would be the lines of thought that you should be, we should be imparting to students? Is there such a thing as like semi-minimalist or controlled consumerism, if you may say so?
I really don't have an answer when you ask me where to draw the line. But this is a debate that we should actually encourage in the classrooms and with our students actually, because like that's what I said right in the beginning. Like if I bring up a topic like this, many people would think like he's a marketing person and how can he be giving a talk like this? Okay, so that is where marketers has to be responsible.
Okay. Can I say something about it?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, Dr. Shaju. After you finish.
No problem. Yeah, please continue.
I understand that we as marketing teachers, academicians, we are dealing with students who are not mature enough to understand what is, where should they draw a line when it comes to materialism and minimalism. But I somehow feel we all have a responsibility to give them a clarity of thought as to where they should stand, and it's up to them to choose the line. So this is what will happen when you are going to be highly materialistic, and this is where you will land up if you do not control your consumption. I think that clarity of thought and the benefits of minimalism has to be communicated to the students, and they should take a call as to where they have to draw a line.
Exactly, because if they are aware of these things, because what is happening is currently when the banks and financial institutions, when they market all those negative things that people can get to, that's in fine print, that is never revealed or openly discussed with the customer. Okay,
one
this
good
is
thing that I find. One good thing that I find here is 2 years back, a couple of years ago, Bank Muscat in Oman had come out with a campaign called Borrow Wisely campaign. It is simply to educate the younger generations on responsible borrowing practices and not resort to borrowing or taking loans just because it's available to them.
Exactly.
Banks initiated.
That's a culture which we should start in our classrooms and our students also going out, because when we look at customer relationship management, etc., the whole purpose is create a customer and continue with him, not that you sort of get the best out of him and throw him out actually. Okay, so when we look at such conceptual things, we have to build them actually. We have to take them along with us. We grow together actually. Okay, so I don't think a move away from capitalism will be like what we call as a doomsday, etc. But we have to do slowly, gradually. And ideally, if you ask me about the classroom as sir, what you put up just now, we will get them aware about these things, leave it there. They will formulate themselves actually to where they stand, or they will draw the line for themselves.
So we have a question in the chat, sir, by Muntasir Al-Saifi, one of our participants. Can you explain us what will happen to the economy in the future if this this minimalist culture grows? Okay, if it is if it evolves into a better shape, he wishes to know what will happen to the economy in the future.
Yeah, we will definitely see a lot of slowing down actually. Maybe I would rather say like even if the salaries etc. come down a little bit, we will be still able to survive because we get adjusted to a new environment. Because if you look at the current, the salary is increasing, our spending is increasing, and we live in an inflationary world also. So there is no effect or no advantage for us actually. So when we move towards the other direction, we are spending less, we have more time for us, we are more in sync with the environment and things like that. It's a better world actually. So the exact impact on economy, etc., we are not able to predict because we are not looking at a sudden transition. We are looking at a slow movement.
Okay, thank you.
Gradually moving from a high consumption culture to something that is more sustainable, more bearable, etc. Actually.
Okay.
Look at this, look at the current world actually. A lot of executives don't get to see their children because they leave early in the morning. I'm seeing students of mine because they're working and then studying. So they get up and leave as early as 5:30. Then they come back to college. By the time they get back at 10 o'clock, they don't get to see their children. What life are we leading? Okay, so we all can slow down a bit actually.
Right. So another question we have from one of our participant, Abdul Majid Al Zakwani. He wants to know what are the solutions in place in the near future in the face of any upcoming circumstances on the economies all around the world. He wishes to know. Again, I think it is a related question. Yeah.
Yeah, but these are things which are slightly beyond me actually, because economists' predictions are difficult. But I think we are seeing signs of it during COVID, etc., isn't it? Like that Earlier, too open, globalized economy is closed actually, and we are looking at more internal, localized developments happening. Life has slowed down. Companies are saying, okay, you can work from home. Salaries, some of them are cut down, but we are living happily because our expenditures have come down. People are operating from home.
Even avenues of spending has gone down.
Yes, avenues of spending has come down. Yeah, so these are signs of a minimalized world actually.
And another question we have,
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Dr. Sajo again for his great webinar. Actually, it's very important for all of us as educators and consumers also. We are consumer also.
Yes, we are consumers.
You mentioned that about the credit card. Now, you know, every one of us, I think, hold once because it's very important. We use it when we travel. They ask if you want to book a hotel, they will ask for your credit card. Now, how we can, it's very important. We need it actually, but we have to teach our students how to use it. How to use it, and don't spend the money in something they don't need. It's not important for their life. We can't stop them to hold this kind of card, but in other way we have to educate them that they use it wisely. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I think universities, colleges should introduce this as a course actually. How to manage your finances responsibly actually, because these are courses which we should give, because without this teaching them all other domain areas doesn't help them to survive in real life. We need credit card. I am a person who use credit card very heavily, but I have only one credit card. Every month I see my credit card payments are fully paid actually. But when I look back, there was a time when I misused my credit cards, and I learned from that. I burned my hand once. That was a time when I did business by myself. Okay, and I've never got into revolving credit again in my life, because that's where, because they don't tell you what is the interest rate behind revolving credit. They say like if you have only 10, like you can just pay 10% and the rest we will keep it as revolving credit. They won't tell you what is the interest rate. It's one of the costliest debts in the world. Pardon?
While in actual case, the interest rates are so cutthroat that one could, our financials could be ruined.
Yes, exactly.
So unless we are really careful, unless we are really careful about our expenditure and the payment, I mean the credit card payments will have to be made in time, else as you said, the revolving credit that we get, it invites penal interest and interest on penal interest, etc. So that could really put us into debt traps and hardships. And our students will have to be communicated about it.
Yes, Ms.
I have a
Turkia,
question.
Yes.
Just, I would like to know if while you are writing your books and do a lot of research in this regards, in your point of view, who is more materialism, male or female?
I would say male actually.
Interesting question.
Because I feel it is.
Yeah, because if you the first impromptu answer might be female because they get into more shopping, but they're very controlled with their shopping expenses actually. Men get into shopping of very expensive things like cars. Okay, so and even other things actually. So I think it's men actually. Anyway, I haven't got maybe if I look through my PhD research, we didn't find that much of a difference, but I think women are more controlled in their spending. They do more shopping, etc. But I think there's a bit of limited control.
Okay, do you think, Doctor, after COVID-19, the people, they transfer to minimalism because they found that take care of their health is the most important things in the life, and the people now they discover that they can live with a simple life,
Yes.
comparing with the previous. So no need to travel, no need to buy very expensive things because they just
Yes.
only sitting at home. So no need to buy expensive clothes or shoes or bag or whatever because they are only sitting at home. And this is my feeling, Yani, after
Yeah.
COVID-19. Even I think even after COVID will finish, inshallah, soon, the people, my feeling, they could go to minimalism because they thought they can't save. Maybe some of the people discovered that these days they saved more than before. So maybe they will continue on that. I don't know what is your opinion in this regard, sir.
No, madam, I fully agree with you actually, because I personally feel that it's a God's intervention because we have been going too crazy. Okay, we have been ruthless in various ways actually, in terms of cutting down of trees or polluting things and buying and wasteful consumption. Look at food being wasted actually in these rich countries. Okay, so this definitely is an intervention, and I think people are getting opened up. Like, I didn't need all this. For when I look at it, like, why did I buy all these suits? Because I'm not able to use it now because all the classes, everything is last 1 year. I gone just 4 days or 5 days to the college because everything is from home. So many times I look back, why did I buy all these things? But then during those days you needed it, and we were also part of that social pressure trap actually.
Sir,
Definitely, it's a good thing.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes. Sir, one more question. We have, I think this is the last question, sir.
Yeah, yes.
We have from one of our participants, Woes. He asked, does materialism tone down consumer ethnocentrism? Materialism and consumer ethnocentrism, is there any relationship, sir? What is your opinion?
Ethnocentrism is more related to that belief that your thinking or your country's philosophy is better, etc. Isn't it? Am I right?
So,
I think
yes,
Woes, sir.
consumer ethnocentrism. I understand
consumer
it as the preference to locally made products.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think Woes, sir, can you clarify the question, Woes, sir? Yeah.
Well, I read an article in which they have mentioned about the signaling effect of cosmopolitanism and materialism on consumer ethnocentrism. But when I observe, I mean, it's just my observation. So when it goes to materialism, it should work on the other way, like it should tone down the consumer ethnocentrism. So what is your observation on this? Because from the research, what I have read,
Please.
Yeah, from the research, what I've read is it actually signals the ethnocentric behavior. It is leading to, as an antecedent, it is acting, but it can even work on the other way. I'm confused. That's why I asked.
Yeah, materialist people would be less ethnocentric, isn't it? Because they look at the brand value or the luxury value attached with the brand rather than where it is made. Is it made in my country and my supporting them, etc. Actually, so I think in that direction it will be better actually, because you are buying these products to project to others that I own them.
Yes.
Yeah, that you can buy them, and you're trying to buy status or prestige by these products, and you're actually trying to cover up for many things which you don't have by these products.
Yeah, exactly.
Across the world, it is the same actually.
Minimalism, I think, would promote consumer ethnocentric practices because the locally made products would be felt to be more comfortable. But
that is what most of the
my understanding also.
Yeah, most of the philosophers, writers in this area say actually minimalism. So that's why that initial question about China. Okay, Chinese products might be lower, but they're pushing a lot of products on us.
Yeah.
Currently.
I mean, minimalists would not buy even if it is available, even if it is a little cheaper. They're not definitely going to buy it.
Yes,
and
they will look at value.
Yes.
Because if you look at the current, like look at our own backgrounds actually, like when our parents bought a refrigerator, they changed it only after 10-15 years, and the refrigerator also used to give good service. When the
Then
talent
came the
goes,
use
if you
and
buy
throw.
every 5 years, you have to throw it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then came the use and
So-
throw concept.
Yes, so you even if you pay well, you're getting a better stuff. Same with furniture. Look at the quality of furniture we get and the quality of furniture which is there in our grandparents' house or our parents'
Yes.
homes.
Very true.
True. Very true.
So that's a change.
Yes. So I think, sir, thank you very much.